he feels like right now. That was a punch to, well, actually more. It was more of a kick below the gut, if you know what I mean.
Below the belt line.
What is your sense of tonight?
There will be an urgency tonight that we haven't seen felt in Madison Square Garden. And beyond that, I mean, these sort of watch parties and looking like, Times Square on New Year's Eve in Manhattan. it's really cool, Greeny, even as somebody who has never lived in New York but has spent, oh my God, so much time here over 44 years covering sports and seeing the Knicks when they were relevant, the Patrick Ewing Knicks when they were relevant. They have to win this game. And I think the Knicks will respond. I don't think they're weak-minded or fragile. They're not. Now, we can wonder that about Minnesota because we haven't seen that group necessarily prove it, although this group of Knicks hasn't done it collectively.
Yep.
But individually, Jalen Brunson has won championships, for those who forgot that he was at Villanova.
Sure.
And he's leading that group. And whatever you want to say critically about Tibbs, I guess you can. You can talk about rotations. You can talk about lack of offensive creativity. But you're not talking about toughness mentally. So I expect the Knicks to have responded already, Jay Will, yesterday and this morning, and will respond tonight in kind.
You picked out a play that you think was sort of a perfect illustration of how the Knicks let that game get away.
Well, they just had so many miscues down the stretch. And here's one defensively that Tibbs and personnel coming off the challenge, which they were able to get turned around, right? Like this is a moment, a stoppage in time where you have to get the personnel properly on the court. Look at this play, guys. You're going to be blown away. So time situation, 136, 135, 20 seconds left to go in this moment. And look at the versatility in the court. McBride, Hart, Bridges, OG, Mitchell Robinson. You can switch everything. 20 seconds, switch everything. Look at this situation right up here in this corner, okay? It's gonna be a little screen. Off this screen, what you're gonna see is a little action off this screen. Boom, he's gonna switch. He's gonna switch. He's gonna go right to there. Perfect, nice and easy. Watch it, Mike, watch that quadrant, okay? As the play develops, let's go slow. Ball gets inbounded. Oh, they switch, right? You see the switch. Now, great. If you're switching everything, now pay attention to what's about to happen when we get to this next part of the play right here. Dribble handoff. You're switching everything, right, Mike?
Yep.
You're already in it. You're switching everything. Now 19.7 seconds left to go in the game. Here we go. Switch. They don't switch. Why are you not switching? Why are you not switching? Why are you not switching? Rotating over from the weak side. Boom, dunk. They're up 3. Those kind of miscues. Stoppage in time. Tibbs, somebody in the court. Hey, guys, we're switching everything. No miscues. Now, I don't know if Mitchell Robinson
leads me to that question, Jay
just had a brain fart, Mike,
Mitchell Robinson
or what?
had that brain cramp there, or when he just sort of plays free safety and gets caught no place.
But that can't happen, Mike. That can't happen. And by the way, when you have that much stoppage in time, who's bringing these guys together? Where's Tibbs saying, yo, switch everything?
To some degree, and we can get Windman, I'm told we have him back here in OKC. We were talking yesterday about how Rick Carlisle pushed a lot of really good buttons the other night. One, going small late in that game, got them a lot, pulled Mitchell Robinson away from the basket, got them several open looks, uncontested looks at the basket late in that game, which you wouldn't expect. You demonstrated yesterday one of those that led to a layup. And
against probably the Knicks' best defensive lineup.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So obviously they had counted, they'd already anticipated some of this, had their best defensive lineup on the court for what Carlisle was doing.
Windman, what is your sense of tonight's critical Game 2 Pacers-Knicks at the Garden?
Yeah, I thought the Knicks did a lot of things well in Game 1. I think most importantly, other than at the beginning of the game and the very end, they controlled the pace. And to me, who's controlling the pace is who's winning the fight. And the Pacers were able, to speed it up, but only after the Knicks built a big lead playing at their speed. I thought Karl Towns played arguably his best game of the postseason. He was able to be really effective against the Pacers defense. And Jalen Brunson was dominant when he was on the court, and when he was off the court, the Knicks did well. I thought when he went to the bench with foul trouble, that they were able to extend the lead at that one point. And I don't think they were really stressed out by the Pacers' speed until the very end. So the Knicks have some stuff to build on going into tonight.
I was going to say also, look, they have to pick people up. The point of attack has to be higher for three-point shots in those kind of game situations at the end. I think the Knicks are going to actually beat up on Indiana tonight. I think the Knicks are a really good team. They can play fast, but you have to play fast in moments that are conducive to the way that you actually play.
And quickly,
they don't play like the Pacers fast all the time.
The Pacers are used to doing that an entire game.
That's not the way the
every
Knicks play.
single game the Knicks are not.
Yes.
How much of an advantage, and we only have a moment here, but we can spend some more time on it, the advantage in depth that the Pacers have in that. This is a 53-minute game the other night, 48 minutes tonight. As it goes on, that depth becomes more and more important.
That's a question for Tibbs, right? Now you're talking about 8 men playing at least essentially 10 minutes a game versus 7 for the Knicks. Is Tibbs willing to stress that? His history, Jay Will, says no, that he's not going to do that. Let's see how, and by the way, we're talking accumulation.
Yes.
The Knicks have had tough series already against Detroit, against Boston. What is the accumulation of minutes and exertion, not just in one game, but over now 3 series?
And those defensive breakdowns were mental fatigue instead of physical fatigue. It was different.
The exact point Windy was making before the series began, that Rick Carlisle was already looking ahead to games 5 and 6 and 7. We'll see. The Knicks need to win tonight, or we may not get any of those games. As we continue, you've got to be surprised by this. The King got zinged. The GOAT debate got a lot spicier, and it came from a very huge night tonight here in this city. Pacers-Knicks Game 2. Give me a player prop you have your eye on tonight.
Karl Anthony Towns over 23.5 points. Prop was 22.5 in Game 1. He scores 35 points. Naturally, the bookmakers moved the price up to 23.5. Still think there's value going over. This is a great matchup for Towns. Unlike the Boston series where they had an elite defense and played at a slow pace, here he's got an opportunity to shine. Case in point, 4 games against Indiana this season. 40 points, 35 points, 30 points, and 21 points. Towns should have a big night in Game 2.
All right, there was a huge high-scoring affair, obviously overtime in Game 1. How are you looking at the total tonight, which is 225.5?
Big total. I'd still play the over here. Now, Game 1 was 221.5. Obviously, with overtime, we went over 270 total points. So we bumped the prop up to 225.5. A lot of people think this is going to be a lower scoring game. Sure, let's say it's 20 points lower scoring than Game 1. Well, we still had 250 points in regulation. We would go over with ease. Again, not the Boston series. There's a lot of pace here. There isn't as much defense, a lot of opportunity for scoring. I'd play over 225.5.
Be interesting. Both teams were so red hot early in that game. It set a very high scoring trend. All right, and how are you eyeing the rest of this series in general?
There are a lot of people who watched Game 1, saw Indiana win, and thought to themselves, I wish I had bet the Pacers to win the series. But now you see Indiana at minus 165 to win the series, which is risk $165 to win 100, and it's too prohibitive. Here's a way to get the same price at a better value. Tyrese Halliburton to win Eastern Conference Finals MVP is minus 120. Ask yourself this. What are the odds Indiana wins this series and Halliburton doesn't win MVP? He went for 30 and 11 in Game 1. He also hit the marquee shot at the end of regulation that sent it to overtime. Nesmith had a phenomenal game, no doubt. I don't think that's going to be sustainable over the course of the series. So instead of playing the Pacers minus 165 to win the series, save 45 cents on the dollar by laying 120 with Halliburton to win Eastern Conference Final MVP.
Smart. I like it a lot. We'll see what happens tonight. Again, the numbers have moved and will continue to. Come with me, Joe. Let's go over to the guys here and let's.
This Michael, is a big ass, Greeny.
Let's get predictions. I'm allowing you to sit at a table with Michael Wilbon. Now,
Michael Wilbon, it's a pleasure.
What could be great?
Not so much.
Whatever.
Let us.
Lower your chair.
Joe, let's start with you.
He's on a
let's put the picks up on the screen in general.
Like one of those Phil Jackson chairs.
There we go. That's
perhaps not quite that much.
I may have overcalculated.
We did not shrink Joe just because he's the only one who's picking Indiana tonight. Why do you like the Pacers in Game 2?
Think about what we saw in Game 1 with the Knicks, right? Everyone focuses on the collapse.
It's very hard to take you seriously right now, Joe.
I'm not really taking myself
I'm
all that
need you to lift
right
your chair up a little.
This is like Yao Ming and me at the draft class.
Go ahead.
The Knicks in Game 1, 51% from the floor. Third best shooting performance in 13 playoff games. 40 free throw attempts. Best performance in 13 playoff games. Brunson and Towns combined for over 70 points. You got all that, and you still lost the game. You still lost the game.
Is that a bad sign? They're going to get 78 points again or whatever it was?
It's like, how much more can you get from the Knicks in order to win the game? I think a lot of people have this idea where, well, the Pacers got what they came for, right? They won one on the road. We said the same thing in the Cleveland series, and they won Game 2 on the road as well. It's Eastern Conference Finals. No one's getting complacent.
I just feel like we're always waiting for the Knicks to be tired, and they don't play tired. I mean, with the exception of down the stretch, To me, this is like a character game. And I think Tibbs and Jalen Brunson are really good at responding in character-like games when they gave game one away.
They're not fragile. The Knicks aren't fragile. They're flawed, but not fragile. To me, if they simply play, I don't know, 85% of what they did in game one, but you got to close. By the way, make some free throws. How about that?
Yeah. 12 missed foul shots in game one. With the Windman not making picks, of course, but has his eye. What was the one thing you have your eye on tonight most keenly, Brian? What do you think is the single biggest factor in tonight's game two?
I would just like to once again update my stat that I've been updating for a month now. The Pacers are 43-16 since January 1st. This is a top seed, and they are also very good on the road. I will say this though, I do think the Knicks don't get dissuaded by the overall scoring. I do think the Knicks were able to control the pace for the bulk of this game. I know at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you do in quarters 2 and 3 and half of 4, but the Knicks were able to get what they wanted for a lot of this game. If they're able to build on that, I think that they can hold the Pacers down. So I like the Knicks to bounce back very strongly, but don't disregard how overall great the Pacers are. They are not a fluke.
Joe, I just need you to clarify. Are you taking the Pacers to cover, or are you taking them to win?
Which one? Which one?
All right. I'm going to do both. I would do both here. Take the 5.5 is obvious. That goes without saying when you're going to pick them to win. You talk about the money line plus 210. I like that price as well. I would not play the Knicks on the money line. I understand the reason for the bounce back tonight. I think the Knicks are better as the hunter than the hunted. This is not a good spot for them. The favorite with someone chasing them, that's not where they want to be. Indiana, to Windy's point, the most undervalued team in the NBA. Since December 13th, they're the 4th best record in the NBA, and no one ever wants to really talk about it outside of the Windman.
They got off to a quiet start this season because of injury. As he said, repeatedly, since January 1st, only OKC has a better record than Indiana does. All right, let's get the sound off here. I've been promising this all morning long. Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. It's a debate that is...
Hello, xin chào tất cả các bạn đã đến với kênh YouTube của mình. Mình xin tự giới thiệu, mình là người sáng tạo nội dung trên nền tảng YouTube. Mình sẽ sáng tạo những video cắt dán. Đây là những sản phẩm cắt dán của mình. Đấy, nội dung của mình làm trên kênh chính là cắt dán, và đây là những sản phẩm mình đã cắt dán mà mình vẫn còn lưu lại này. Đấy. Những đồ vật của mình sẽ làm là những đồ vật động vật.